Hey guys, this is GamerCow. Welcome to another Duelyst video from the Unearthed Prophecy expansion. This is patch 1.87, and I have a couple of Songhai decks that I just kind of threw together yesterday for testing some new stuff that I had a couple of really fun games with, so I'm going to show them in separate videos, and we are going to just have some fun. So, Kaleos got a pretty big buff in this expansion. His Bloodborne spell has always been kind of but he now has a lot of fun for that. I mean, it's always been a fun Bloodborne spell. Being able to teleport a minion to spaces is really good. You can teleport them behind enemy lines and do some really good stuff with that. The unfortunate thing is it's way more technical than Reaver's Bloodborne spell. Bloodbound spell now. You can tell this is only just with the new name change and stuff that way, thanks to Bandai Namco having to legally change things. I'm still not used to calling it that, so I'll most likely just refer to them as Bloodborne spells. I do apologise for anyone who's only just coming into the game, because that's no longer what they're called. But anyway, Reaver's Heartseeker being a 1-1 ranged unit thing, that is just way more versatile, if you will. I've had some pretty fun games of that as well, actually. I should maybe show one of those off. But yeah, there's some really good stuff with that. But Kaleos has a new tool in the form of Flamewreath here, which massively benefits from having his Bloodborne spell around. Whenever this minion's moved for any reason, it deals 2 damage to all enemies around it after it stops moving. So you put it into position and it does 2 damage to everything around it when, in that position. Really, really good. Works when it moves, works when you move it with movement spells like Juxtaposition, or of course Kaleos' Bloodborne spell. Mist Dragon Seal's another really good one for it. And yeah, it's just a super solid effect. So that's pretty much it. The whole deck is based around Backstab. So we have a couple of Obscuring Blow in here in order to generate Backstab on any minion. We don't have the Kaido Assassin, because I wanted to try out the Carcynus here instead. The thing with Kaido Assassin is that it's only got 3 health, and that makes it vulnerable to Lasting Judgment. It dies to Phoenix Fire, it dies to like an Ooze trading into it at turn 1, and it's a bit We already have a 3 health minion here in Scroll Bandit. This is the replacement for Kaido Assassin, basically. And if this hadn't have come out, then I would have played Kaido, but Scroll Bandit, for 1 less attack, it steals an enemy spell when you backstab with it. Like, holy hell, that is good, because they no longer have the spell in their deck. You have a card draw from this. It's so good. You do need to get the backstab off though, which can be a little bit tricky, but even then, this is what Kaleos is good at. We have all sorts of movement position changing things for it, and it's just super strong. Really, really like the idea of that card. Of course, Katara is always really, really strong as well. Got to be careful of playing into Saberspine Tiger with this, but other than that, really good turn 1 cards, so obviously going to be strong. And that's basically our like 1-2 drops. Normally you want to play 9 2-drops as yours minimum. More than that can be played if you're a Zui style, but effectively Katara is another 2-drop. It's at least as strong as a 2-drop, to be totally honest with you. 1-3 with 3 backstab. Very, very, very powerful. This is usually the thing that gets a ton of damage off if you inner focus and all that fun stuff. Speaking of inner focus, this works with Flamewreath as well. So gives a big benefit to being able to just move it again in the same turn and proc its effect again. So that's good. And then a couple other things that we're trying out. I'm not entirely sure if Mizuchi is needed at all, but this and Mind Cage Oni provide a little bit of a, not confusion aspect per se, but makes you a little bit more cautious about using certain effects. Mind Cage Oni in particular is very, very strong, and that'll feature prominently in all of the Songhai stuff that I play from now on. This card is way, way too good not to play. The opponent plays a spell and you just take it. If they don't kill it with that spell and they put the number 1 down, well, you just take that too. It works to just refuel your hand, and Songhai is really good at burning a lot of cards in their hand, so very powerful. And then Mizuchi, if the enemy general attacks, like to try and take out your Scroll Bandit or whatever, or your Flamewreath, then this thing gets to fly and has backstab and has a lot of health, so it's pretty good. I like the idea with this. The other card that I'm testing out here is Twilight Reiki. Didn't actually get to use this very much, but the idea is that there's a lot of low cost stuff in here that you can just kind of place down on the field, and Twilight Reiki is a hand refill. So we have Mind Cage Oni and Scroll Bandit for spell refill, and then Twilight Reiki for minion refill, which is pretty nice. And of course Zendo, because Zendo with Obscuring Blow is ridiculous. So yeah, lots of good stuff there. So let's just get into the game. If I go to my match history, I believe it was this one. And yeah, this deck is just lots of fun though. Basically, tons of manipulating things around. There's some actual surviving power within Carcynus and Mizuchi, so your minions don't necessarily all die immediately, which is really good. And yeah, I actually kind of missed the hello there. I would have said good luck, have fun. Actually, I probably did. I don't remember. You don't get to see your own like emote stuff in your replays, so it's kind of weird. Anyway, had the option between Scroll Bandit and Carcynus for the first turn, and I decided, well, Carcynus is going to survive more. Scroll Bandit gets Phoenix fired, or it gets knocked out by Saberspine Tiger. Or even Tuskbore could do a lot to it. Tuskbore Gotatsu could be pretty good turn 1. So just put the 1-5 down. The 1-5 is good for Kaleos because you've got Inner Focus and Obscuring Blow can work well. And if you put Killing Edge down on this thing, then it becomes a 5-7, which is really quite good. I could have gone with Killing Edge here, but I decided that would be a little bit premature, so we go for the Mind Cage Oni here instead. I'm gonna spread my stuff out a little bit. The nice thing about Kaleos is that with your Bloodborne spell, you have a lot of opportunities to sneak attack with your opponent's stuff. Like if that Lantern Fox moves a space down, then I could move this Katara 2 up and then teleport it behind for a backstab. So lots of potential there. Diversifying my threats a fair bit here, just to try and bait the opponent into splitting up and, you know, divide and conquer sort of thing here. And if the opponent takes a tile, the reason I moved Kaleos where I did is if they take a tile here, then there's no way that the Lantern Fox can get 2 attacks off. The opponent has a little bit of a misstep with this Oni. This is actually another Mind Cage Oni itself, and it turned out that this really didn't work out that great. I like how in replays you can see which Sentinel this is, because I can say, oh yeah, this is a Mind Cage Oni, I remember this, but like you wouldn't actually know that if you were just playing the game itself. But since you can see what the Sentinel effect is at the bottom of the tooltip, that's pretty good. So my opponent moves in, hits me with the Lantern Fox that gives it a Phoenix Fire, and uses Inner Focus. This triggers my Mind Cage Oni, so I steal that Inner Focus. This is going to be a big part of Songhai Mirrors, I think, as things go along. So, he moves in. I'm not entirely sure why you would hit the Katara instead of me there, because you could just Phoenix Fire the Katara, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, the problem here is that this is a Mind Cage Oni, and my opponent has put 6 cards in their hand. Which means that if I trigger this Oni, then it will not give the spells in hand. Knowing that, I kind of feel out the way that I'm going to do this, and I think, well, the best way for me to handle this right now is to see what it is. If it's a minion-based one, then I don't want it to really hit me first, because the 100 hands guy has got 4 health. And if it's the general attacks one, well, that's not going to get triggered at all anyway, so 5 health is fine. The blink here, instead of Inner Focus, is pretty handy because then it triggers this. It is a bloodbound spell after all, so this triggers the Oni, and that would put a blink in Riva's hand here. But she has a full hand, so she can't get that. Knowing that, even if my opponent had just 5 cards in hand there after hitting once with a Lantern Fox, you wouldn't be able to get the Killing Edge because you've got Blink in your hand. so kind of making my opponent overdraw and actually completely wasting the Oni on the other side there, which is really good. So I still have mine up and I can still spell steal because I have one slot. That's exactly what's going to happen here, because it's going to get Phoenix fired, but it's a spell cast, so I get it in hand before it dies. So I stole Inner Focus and Phoenix Fire, whereas my opponent would have stolen Blink and Killing Edge, which are both pretty good, but didn't get the chance to because of the overdraw. So that's pretty good. And I still have a 5-3 on the board. There's a Heartseeker and a Scroll Bandit. It's pretty good. Juxtaposition here is really nice for the opponent, because that means that I can't actually hit her with Carcynus this turn unless I miss Dragon Seal it in, and I have better things to do here. So we're at 5 mana. I've used my Bloodborne spell, but I stole the Inner Focus, so we can throw a Flamewreath down here and then use Inner Focus, reactivate it, moves it in here so that it does 2 damage to everything around it. That takes out the Heartseeker, that does 2 damage to the Bandit. 2 damage to Reaver is pretty good as well, and the Flamewreath is activated so it can still attack and kill the Bandit. Clears the board, job's a good one. I decide to keep the Katara out of the way here, because I can blink it in at any point. Miss Dragon Seal is also really good for it, and the Carcynus here, it's gonna bait one of the Phoenix Fires that the Lantern Fox drew. The other one got used on the Mind Cage Oni, so that's fine. But this is good, because this one card, I've used Killing Edge on it, but this one card has basically done quite a lot of work for just a simple 1/5. Not sure exactly where my opponent was planning on, movement stuff for this, but I stole a Phoenix Fire, so this Flamewreath can just move down onto this tile here. I drew the Twilight Reiki, it's kind of okay, but this not really gonna factor in at the moment, because I have plenty of cards in hand. But yeah, I can just move this in, Phoenix Fire it, take out the Spelljammer. There's no way I want to leave a Spelljammer on the board, because even though I could draw from it, I don't want my opponent to get too much of an advantage out of it. So just gonna play another Flamewreath here. My opponent could, I guess, Phoenix Fire this one and take it out, but it's gonna be difficult to take out both of them in one turn. And I get my Bloodborne spell back next turn, which is really good. I can also use stuff like Juxtaposition or Miss Dragon Seal to get more movement out of it. And yeah, it's pretty good. So play a Tuskbore. Tuskbore plus a general attack will take out this Flamewreath, but this one is still in play. And that's pretty good for me. So I think my opponent's going to try and body block it here, just to try and preserve the Tuskbore, but that doesn't work against Flamewreath, because Blink is good. This would work if Flamewreath was being played for Reaver, but since I'm Kaleos, I can just use the Bloodborne spell, teleport it into here, which is what we're going to see in a sec, and this does 2 damage to everything around it, which takes out the Heartseeker and the Tuskbore, and also does 2 damage to Reaver herself. It's pretty good. So that was always something I was going to do, and then I was considering, what do I want to replace here, because I need something a little bit stronger out of this turn. And Juxtaposition seems like a pretty good one. I can't backstab at the moment anyway, so that's just, well, play Killing Edge on the Flamewreath then, get 6 damage out of that, no problem. I can move in and stop the opponent from going this direction, and Phoenix Fire for efficiency's sake. I could use Miss Dragon Seal here, but I miss out. Actually, no, that's a missed lethal, huh? No, because I couldn't attack again. Right, yeah. I could have missed Dragon Seal, but then I would have put this out of position, and I couldn't attack again, so not really much point. So, kind of done at this stage, last ditch Zendo, but that doesn't do anything to the Flamewreath. The Flamewreath had to be taken out that turn, otherwise it was game over, and yeah, that's pretty much it. For the record, if anyone's wondering why there's no Onyx Jaguar in this deck when I showed the thing at the start, it's because I don't have any. I've never actually crafted Onyx Jaguar, and yeah, I don't know, I wanted to try some other stuff out as well. I might craft them eventually, but I don't really have that much spirit spare at the moment, so we shall see. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. There's going to be a lot more shenanigans with this deck to come. It is a really fun deck to play. I've only played it 2 or 3 times so far because I've been building a lot of stuff and trying out some interactions with Slow. We'll see some of that in the couple of videos to come as well, but definitely a lot of fun. And I always liked the backstab stuff, but having stuff like Flamewreath around to really capitalize on Kaleos' BBS, this deck is super cool, and I look forward to playing more of it in the future. So, until next time, this has been Gamer Kaleos showing you a Duelyst replay for the Songhai faction in Unearthed Prophecy, and next time we'll explore a couple of Reaver games. Well, we'll explore a Reaver game, because I have not played that much yet. Till next time, take care. Bye bye.